right? We have to discuss that 10-8 in round one because Michael Chandler won that round. But when Charles Oliveira gets you down, takes your back, does good things in the round, how in the world are you scoring that 10-8 as a judge? Because the reality is judges are so afraid and they really don't want to give a 10-7 round. But if that is a 10-8 round, what is worse? What do you have to do in order to go 10-7? Because if you recall, when Glover Teixeira beat Anthony Smith and Glover Teixeira busted his tooth out of his mouth, that was a 10-8 round. How in the world can you judge these two rounds the same whenever one was an absolute beating and the other was a competitive round? I believe that in judging, when you take the responsibility, and I know they wanted to relax the ways that people are scoring 10-8s. When you take the responsibility, you have to be very careful because they were about to mess up that fight. Had that gone 5 rounds, you would have had Charles Oliveira down 2 rounds after a very competitive round. You are taking responsibility for people's livelihoods and their careers. You have to watch carefully, watch closely, and truly understand what you're watching. It's crazy that they scored that 10-8.
Yeah, you know, a 10-7 is a unicorn. I think off the top of my head, one of the Maynard fights with Frankie Edgar, there was a 10-7 in there. But I have no problem with the 10-8 that was given by 2 of the judges, not all 3 for that first round. I lean towards 10-9 because, you know, Oliveira did have his moments there on the ground, but yeah, it's way more subjective than it is in boxing. In boxing, you get a knockdown, it's 10-8 right away. You get another one, it's 10-7. Like it's a lot more subjective in our sport because knockdowns can be more common, and there's the damage on the ground and all that stuff. So it's a confusing thing. But guess what? It didn't matter. It didn't matter at all because Charles Oliveira won fair and square in the second round.
But it's like it didn't. But it's like we're getting issues in the judging, right? Look, man. I love Caitlin Chukagian. She's a sweetheart. I thought she lost the fight. I don't understand how you get mounted in round 2 and have a moment afterwards and win the round. I don't know how they're valuing ground control anymore because Araujo not only got the takedown, got to the mount, she threatened submission. There are so many reasons as to why she should have won that round and ultimately won the fight. I don't get the way that judging is happening right now. And I mean, I think it's a real problem, and we have to find a way to address this. I know we've been saying this for a long time, but we were saved by the Oliveira finish because, bro, they were about to mess that fight up, and you don't want that when you're fighting for championships.
Yeah. You know, over in one championship, they score the fight on the whole. There was a controversial fight on Saturday morning between Ritu Phogat and Bin Wen. That's a different way of looking at it. You can do it the Pride way. You could do it the way we do it in America. We don't have time to get into all of that because we could spend the whole hour on judging. But it's a worthy point, and I'm glad that you brought it up. But could we talk about Chandler? Because he said within the next 12 months, you know, I'll be back. I'll be back here. I'll be the champ again. I'll be fighting for the belt. I think the division is so deep that you're going to have to win at least 2 fights to be considered, you know, a contender again. And by the way, you mentioned a guy who I'd like to see him fight next. Let's do Gaethje versus Chandler. Gaethje seems ready to go. Obviously, Chandler is going to need some time, but that to me feels like the fight that should happen next. What do you think?
12 months is way too soon. I just think that Michael Chandler hasn't really been there for a while here in the UFC to understand that it's going to take some time, especially with what's on the books, right? When you got Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier fighting, and Dustin Poirier, who a lot of people consider the best lightweight in the world, he wins that fight. He's going to fight Charles Oliveira. Conor McGregor wins that fight. He will probably fight Charles Oliveira. So there's just like a lot of people that can lay claim to that title shot, and I think Chandler's got some work to do. Justin Gaethje can also lay claim to a title fight, being that he was the interim champion before losing to Khabib. It's going to take him some time. I'm not sure exactly how long it'll be, but it will not be within 12 months. Justin Gaethje doesn't fight for the belt, then it should be Chandler Gaethje because that is probably his shortest course to get back to a championship fight.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.